Go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the May 2021 Reinvestor Meetup. We have a couple of awesome guests of ours here joining us here tonight. We have our team. We've got people, active and passive investors from all across the country. The chat is absolutely, I don't know what side it is, but it's absolutely going crazy with people saying, hey, what's up and what they're up to and where they're from. Today is actually a little bit of a special day for us just because it is our 5-year anniversary of continuous meetups. We've been doing this thing, starting off with the back of a white spot with like 10 or 12 people in it, including Randy and I, to try to even boost those numbers. And it has, completely blown up to, hundreds of people, consistently around 100 people on Zoom every month now. So it's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of ups and downs, lots of learning for a lot of people. It's been truly a privilege to be able to support a lot of people and watch a lot of people grow over the last 5 years. And we're thrilled that you're all here joining us tonight. And if it's your first time or your 60th time joining this meetup, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Just to cover exactly what we're going over, it's going to be at about a 90-minute session. We're going to do this quick little intro for us. We're going to welcome our guests, and then we're going to finish off with just some open Q&A. We thrive off of everybody's energy. We are energetic people alone, and we certainly miss just doing live events. And so if you're able to, please, we encourage you to put on your video so that we can look into your beautiful eyes and have a conversation with you and just engage with you. As I mentioned, it is our...
Go back one slide. You missed an important piece.
Oh, holy monkeys. What's going on here?
You've got to go to the left arrow. Just changing their name tag, where they're from and what they're looking for.
Change your name. So do you see somebody with the perfect example? Or Andy, you want to change yours real quick? We have a lot of passive and active investors here. We got a lot of people looking for deals. You can see Randy's example in the text there. You can put your first name, looking for a joint venture partner. Maybe you throw in a little bit of detail in there as well. The name doesn't go super far. Mine right now is only showing this amount of space, but you can certainly just put in where you're at, what you're looking for. Get tricky with it. You can put in an amount, put in whatever you like. It's a blank canvas. Randy's got a deal by the looks of things, but certainly encouraged. This is what we're all here for. We're all here to connect and to learn. And so if you've got something worth connecting on, by all means, put it in there. Ray and T.O. Beauty. All right. So for our 5-year anniversary, what we're doing is we're giving away 2 $50 gift cards tomorrow. And if you want to, you can exchange that $50 gift card for a 30-minute strategy sesh with Randy and I. And how you get entered is you got to stay to the very end of this conversation to get 1 entry. And we encourage you to take a picture at any time, take a video at any time through this meetup, and post it on social media. Tag us in it at the Reinvestors. Randy, if you could put that in the chat right now, that'd be awesome for our Facebook and Instagram handle. And if you do that within the next, I'll say, a few hours before the end of the night, we will give you 5 entries for that $50 gift card or strategy session with us. And we'll be picking a winner tomorrow, being Wednesday at 12 p.m. You obviously have the advantage of being here live and not watching the recording. Excuse me, who are we? We're investors, we're educators, we're developers, and everything in between. That was our very first property, far left, and on the far right, that was our first development property. In the middle, that was one of our 2-day workshops. A lot of fun just educating people and being surrounded to inspire people. That's one of the reasons why we get up every morning and are so excited about what we do every single day. On the education side of things, we've been running this meetup for 5 years. We've got an online community. If you aren't in it right now, it's on Facebook. It's the Reinvestors community on Facebook. We've got 1,200 people from across the country in that. Great conversations taking place. We've run 2-day workshops. We did an expo a couple of years back that had hundreds of people come and attend, and speakers from all across North America. We've done mentorships. We've done a mastermind, which is actually how we met one of our guest speakers here tonight, Ray. And a little shout out to all the Synergy people out there. Whoop, whoop. And we've literally helped hundreds of people grow and create their own portfolios. On the actual investment side of things within the Reinvestors under our umbrella, we've done over $12 million in acquiring real estate here. We've raised over $8 million in capital. We've worked with over 45 different investors from across North America. And we've done deals ranging from single family home conversions to multifamily conversions to new construction development to Airbnb. Come on now.
It's a lot.
Our mission statement. Oh, what up?
I said that's a lot.
just a thing or two to keep us busy. Our mission statement. We're on a mission to financially educate a million people and inspire them to invest in real estate so they can live a more fulfilled life. I'm going to say that again because I really wanted to drill home. We are on a mission to financially educate 1 million people and inspire them to invest into real estate so they can live a more fulfilled life. Our next meetup, we run this every single month on the third Tuesday of each month. Throw it in your calendar right now. Starts at the same time, same place, 6 p.m. West Coast, 9 p.m. East Coast. The next one is on June 15. And I'm going to turn the mic over to my main man, Randy, and let him introduce our first speaker of the night.
Can you just hit the next slide for me? We'll just stay here. Boom. I am so excited to bring tonight's speaker, Ray Vozza. We met Ray through our mastermind. He jumped in there and man, what him and his wife have been able to do in the past year basically is absolutely crazy. And so just getting into tonight, one of the biggest things we've heard in all of our conversations through our community and everywhere we go, especially right now, is tenant issues, tenant problems. How do you evict tenants? How do you buy buildings and reposition them and re-rent them back out? And how do you handle them? How do you handle property management software? So we said, why not bring in somebody who just bought 55 units basically in 2020 alone and evicted and renovated and turned over and did everything you need to do. And then why not follow that by providing a platform that'll allow you to do property management on. Boom, win-win on both sides for us. So we're super excited about tonight. So Ray, as you can see on the screen, started with a few doors, and then within 10 months, they added 7 properties and 55 doors, scaled very quickly and did a lot of it through partnerships and mentorship. I'm sure Ray will go into his story there. He manages all of the stuff himself and is in the middle of vertically scaling his company to add property management into it. And he was able to successfully turn over, this is a stat that I absolutely loved and why I wanted to bring him in so bad, 14 of the 16 units. So I know a lot of you are looking at buying multifamily buildings or even just duplexes. How do you get the tenants out to put new ones in, to renovate, to raise the value and do everything? This guy here has done it. And they've successfully just raised over $2 million just in 2021 alone. So not only are they on the side of buying and turning it over, they're actually raising capital and doing it. Ray is an absolute badass. We're so excited to have him here tonight to share his story and his journey. It's going to be very relatable for a lot of people coming into tonight. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, Ray. Why don't you introduce yourself and then walk us through your journey of how you went from buying a door or two or leaving the corporate world to now owning 55 doors and starting your own property management company.
Awesome, Randy. Well, thank you very much for having me. And I don't even know how I can continue after that amazing introduction. Like my head's not going to fit through the door when I try and get out of here. So thank you very much. You guys are amazing hosts, and congratulations on 5 years, guys. You know that myself and Joe look up to what you've been able to do in a big way. And part of our growth is because of, taking the steps that we've done this year in terms of being part of the Synergy Mastermind group. So but let me just talk to everyone. It's great to see so many friendly faces and new faces on tonight. So my name's Ray Vozza. My company is BV&Co. Along with my wife, Joanna, we are Ray and Joe of BV&Co. She's not available to join me tonight, so you only get 50% and you kind of get the lesser side of the 50%, but I'll do my best. I truly will. 2020 was our year to take action. That was what it was all about. 2019, I made a career change and a shift. I've been in marketing for a number of years in advertising, and the opportunity came And for Joe and I, we were part-time passive investors. We had one property, we'd done a couple of lending deals, but the frustration was we wanted to do more. We know we could do more, but it was the time trade-off. How could we do more time? So when that opportunity came up, I jumped at it, and we took 2019 to tool up and ladder up. And then we took 2020 to add more properties is really what we did. So in terms of timeline, I'll give you a little bit of it. We did start the year, January 2020, we did our first joint venture, and that was on a duplex. We had owned it for almost a year and a half. It was a great little performer, but we wanted to divest and take some of that capital and be able to roll it forward. So we did our first joint venture on that particular deal, and it unlocked us from kind of this point of feeling stuck, and really gave us some latitude to be able to move forward. At the same time, I've been having a conversation with some other investors that I wanted to learn from, and I wanted them to mentor us. And they made me a deal saying, if you can go out and find a really horrible building, we don't buy medium style buildings, we don't buy nice buildings, we buy the worst buildings that everyone else runs away from. So if you find a building like that, give us a call, and then we can talk about putting an offer, and we can work together, and we'll show you how we go ahead and do our process. So that was super exciting for me. I had met up with them months earlier and was hoping for this kind of opportunity, and there it was. So yeah, we got to work, and we saw a number of, okay buildings. We saw some decent buildings. It was all disappointing until we got into the really junky buildings. And then I found one building where I smelled so bad when I left. I wanted to burn my clothes, and I knew that was the one. So I phoned them up and I said, hey guys, I found something, and no one else is going to make an offer, let alone even walk in the front door. So that was our first multi-unit, and that was the one in Aurelia. And we've completed all of the renovations, and now I'm just finishing up tenanting it. So a little less than a year, we've been able to turn that whole project over.
That is so cool. And like I said, so many people in here just starting out with their first, second, third deals and going like, how do we get to the next one? And something I admire about you guys was you ate a little bit of humble pie and said, hey, we're just going to go find deals and then go find a mentor to help us come along. You're having a percentage of something is better than 100% of nothing, right? And learning how to scale and go quickly. So what did that look like for you going from the single family to the multifamily, and how did you get your experience in working with tenants? Obviously, what does that partnership look like with your new people, of like how hands-on are you in the building when you first started out, and where did you hit some of these learning curves, and share a little bit along that journey?
For sure. So I had some experience in managing tenants in the past, but they were all what we would call quality tenants. These are the kind of tenants that you do want in your property. So, generally managing those people is pretty easy, right? Good leases, good month-to-month kind of check-ins if you do it that often, and then you're cashing your checks and you're, looking at your property quarterly kind of thing. This was a bit of a different kind of story. So we went in with a real compassionate angle, which is we took a look at this building, and it was obvious to us that the previous owner, he had just let it go into disrepair. This was truly a slumlord style building. So we took a lot of compassion, saying when we put together our project plan, we put together a very, very generous cash for keys budget that was 6 months of rent to be able to help people out. So that's one mechanic that we used, but I think it was more the mindset and the attitude that we came in, which was first we spoke to the tenants about it. And we just started to talk to them about the problems that they're having in the building. So once you can kind of open them up, and they start to tell you a little bit about, this has been a bad experience, we haven't been able to get this repairs done, everything like that. And I just sat there and listened and just talked to the tenants. And I think it was something as simple as we brought donuts and coffee in like the first week or so. And we just said, we just want to hear what you think of living here. And they started to tell their story. And as they're telling their story, you just started to pick up on those little pain points, those things where, they'd like to make a change, but there's just not in a situation to do so. And I sat back patiently and I listened to most of the tenants. Then I kind of posed the same question, which is, why do you choose to live here with all the problems that you're experiencing? Why here, and why stay? And a lot of them kind of went, well, I feel like I'm stuck and I don't have any place we can go. And that's the opportunity, and that's the door that opens. So at that point in time, we were able to say, what would you like to move into? When would you like to make that change? What kind of place are you looking for? And what do you need to be able to make that happen? So, from the front end of dealing with all of those particular tenants and going in with that kind of strategy, it really connected on a human level where people were able to see, hey, we're not just coming in here to slap paint on the wall and raise the rent and just kick people out. That was not the plan whatsoever. Beyond that, there were some definite problems that needed fixing in the building, and that was kind of stage 2. So once we took care of the people that felt trapped and they just couldn't make a move for themselves, we were able to help those folks. The next ones we went in and we had the straightforward conversation, which is, listen, your unit, the following needs to be done, or the building, this needs to be done. We need to work on a timeline and start to look for some options. So it was never a, this is the only route, but it was always looking for options, working together, seeing what is available out there. Now, I say working together in the terms of continuing to kind of encourage them to look for places, but I'm not, going out there and finding new listings and bringing it back to them and saying, hey, did you find these great 6 places that are available for rent? So yeah, constant kind of keeping on top of them, and then working through the renovations, which is, now that we've got people working in the building, it's not as much fun to live there. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's noisy, it's all those sort of things. So now I'm mitigating and handling those complaints. And every time those pain points are coming up, I'm having that conversation again, which is, let's talk about finding a place that you are going to be happy living in. Let's talk about moving. Let's talk about a timeline. So planting those seeds really paid off. And at the end of it, yes, there was a couple of tougher tenants that we had to have the straightforward with, how much is it going to cost to buy you out and move you onward. So some of those conversations did happen.
What do those numbers look like? For those that don't know what cash for keys is basically just go into a building and say, look, we need you out of this unit. We got to renovate it. We want to improve it. How much is it going to cost to get you out? And I'm going to share a story after you share yours about how we did ours, but we're just curious to know, what does that cost look like, and what's the pushback? Obviously, you get the tenants that say, cool, give me $100,000, I'll move out tomorrow, right? We've all experienced those kind of partners, but like, what were some of the numbers? And disclose what you will. Give me a range, give me a variety, but what were some of those numbers you're looking at paying so that people can budget that for the properties they're going to buy?
For sure. So, I mean, the average tenant was paying somewhere around $800 a month in rent is where they were at. Market rent should have been between $1,400 to $1,600. So that's kind of the range that they were at. Like I said, when we did our numbers, we buffered in 6 months for each one of those individuals. So, we had a nice fund there of almost $4,800 per tenant to go and have that conversation with. Who is expensive? It's always the ones that are the most trouble that I think cost you the most at the end of the day. And specifically, it's the ones that, well, I don't want to get general. I'll just speak in specifics on this one to keep myself out of hot water. But this particular tenant was living on assistance, right? So, everything was being paid for in terms of rent and that sort of thing. The tenant also had a nice side hustle, and it was like every Friday, right around 4 o'clock, there'd be a line around the block, and everyone was coming to pick up every illegal substance known from this particular tenant. So he was making so much cash, I couldn't believe. So, I mean, what's the challenge with that tenant? And I had the straightforward conversation. I said, okay, like, let's talk $5,000. No, $5,000 is not going to move the number. Okay, let's talk $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And the surprising thing was, it wasn't the cost. He said to me, the money is not the issue right here. He goes, if you put that money in my hand, and then he stopped and he didn't want to tell me the rest. And I said, if I put that money in your hand, it's going to go to a bad place. It's not going to help you. And he said, no, it's not going to help me. If you put $8,000 in my hand, man, I'm going to be in such bad place. And I said, okay, I get it then. All right. So we're not putting the money in your hand, but let's land on a number that's going to help you get into a new place. And then I will directly transfer that money to the new landlord. And I'll give you a letter saying that you've always paid rent here every single month, because that was 100% true. Maybe he wasn't the kind of tenant that I wanted, but he did pay rent every single month, and we were able to get him over. So what was the cost on him? I think we were somewhere around 7 G's to get him out.
Yeah, it's and some people might be swallowing that number, going like $7,000 to get a tenant out. But when you start playing in multifamily and in these spaces, they're paying $800 of rent. That's it's supposed to be $1,600 to say it's double the money. There's another $800 a month in a year. That's $9,600. So to buy them out, you increase that value more than what your actual buyout was in the first year. Then the lifetime after that is all increased revenue. So, having that tenant stay there for a year versus just paying them upfront for even that $7,000 or $8,000, that value changes so much. So when you have that discrepancy between what the value of the rent could be versus what they're actually paying, that gap, as it gets bigger, your buyout can actually get bigger because your ROI coming back on the other end is big. And I can share on our building, we did the same thing. We did a nice letter for everyone. we did ours in a way that said, hey, if you get out today, we need a few tenants out right away. So if you get out today, we'll pay you $3,000. If you get out tomorrow, it's $2,000, or in a month, it's $2,000. A month after that is $1,000. And after that, you're just in a construction zone, and hey, you're sticking for the long term and you get nothing. And one of the tenants, same thing, came back and said, I want $10,000. And we said, we can't do that, but what do you need to make work? And he was kind of standoffish at first. Then he actually opened up, same thing you did, said, man, what is it? What do you need from this situation to be comfortable? And he said, I actually want to go to Duncan, so money doesn't really help me too much. I need to get to Duncan. So we said, how much is a bus fare? How much is it to pack all your shit up? How much is it to move it? All this stuff. And we came with a total number, and we said, look, if we give you this number and help organize some of this for you, get you up to Duncan to go see your family, would that help you out? He's like, oh my God, that'd make me so happy. I hate this place. I hate living here. It's a dumpster. And so we actually helped them out a lot by just, like you said, being patient, having that conversation. You know, when we first knocked on the door, we got it slammed in our face, 10 grand and all this. I think it ended up being about $4,500 to get him out, but it was the support he needed to get the right movers in and get everything organized and move all this stuff. So if you're working with tenants, it's not always a price thing. It's always about that human factor that you brought up, which I love so much. So one of the questions I had come in here that we see quite often, and just curious to hear your response. What if your tenant just says, no, I'm not moving out. I'm not taking cash or keys. This is my home and I'm staying here until I die. How do you handle that situation?
So I think two things right there. You know, like my goal is never to go into to displace and wreck everyone's life, but I do have you know, a strong commitment to be able to quality spaces for quality people, right? That's part of what we're all about as our brand and our mantra. So you know, when we look at a building, right, we no longer really buffer for 100% turnover, right? We're really looking at a 75% turn rate, and that might be in your first 12 months. Then, you know, if you're looking at minimum buy and hold, I hope everyone's thinking a min strategy of 5 years, and then, you know, you can look at a refinance. Within that 5-year period, there's a number of factors that may happen to that last 25%. So as the demographic of the building changes, and I'm noticing this right now, which is, you know, I'm bringing in a younger demographic. They're a little more, they like the convenience, they like the finishings, they like a little more of the modern touches, some of the technology in there. It changes the overall feeling of the building. So that holdout that might be like, you know what, this is it. I'm in my tomb. You're never going to get me out of here. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens in 6 months after renovation and construction's been done. Let's see what happens once you get a different profile in this building. And it's no longer, you know, maybe it was the knitting club on that floor, and that was their kind of clique, right? Maybe it was the old, you know, the grumpy dudes, and that was their clique kind of thing. That all starts to change, right? So I think as investors, we have to realize that time is always on our side. We're the people that are able to wait out that individual and continue to play the long game. Sooner or later, something is going to change in their life. Some factor is going to shift a little bit. And I had a tenant that said the exact same thing to me. You'll get me out of here in a pine box. Okay, let's see what happens. Right. So yeah, I mean, none of us have a crystal ball, but when that tenant does say that, understand that they're trying to defend, you know, what they feel is their rights. You know, they're trying to like dig in and say, this is my space and you're not going to get it kind of thing. And if you just continue to push that tug of war, you're not going to win. So at that point in time, why not take a little bit of pressure off? Why not look to another area that you can focus your attention on, come back to that tenant, revisit that tenant, have a conversation. And it just might be another person that took a buyout package that happens to have that conversation, that water cooler chat with them and saying, you know what, they're not really that bad of people. They helped me out with, you know, getting a moving truck, first and last, a quality reference, right? You know, whatever it is, right? So I think everything can change, but it's just being patient and perseverance.
Totally. And I couldn't agree more with that statement of like, the goal isn't to get everybody else sometimes. The goal is to get enough people out to refinance the property and get as much capital back as you can, and then being able to turn that over. And if the person wants to stay, you let them stay. And, you know, one of the other strategies that I've heard is you just go in and offering upgrade packages. So if you can add a washer and dryer to people's suites, like, hey, we'll add a washer and dryer to your suite for an extra $150 a month. Are you interested? We'll come in and put a new kitchen in, but it's $250 a month. We'll do the both package if you want to pay an extra $300 a month kind of thing. And being able to increase value in the rents that way. So if they're not going to pay $800, at least they're going to move up to $1,000. you put a few $100s into the renovation or a few $1,000s into the renovation, but at least you're increasing the value of the rents. And in our industry, as we work with cap rates and commercial properties, the value of the rent is one of the most important things. So I would love to just hear you share a little bit about, you said you're working with a bit of a younger demographic now, and I know you've done some pretty awesome things for incentivizing tenants to come in and providing them stuff that's a little bit technology based or out of the box, things like that. What are you doing as a landlord that's kind of incentivizing people to move into your units or making it more friendly? And something I will just lead off with is that these days, it's, the prices are so absurd that the incentives are honestly what keep a lot of the tenants there staying long term. If you have a very base bones place, sometimes it's not as sexy, but if you're offering the granite countertops and some of the fancier type thermostats and Wi-Fi's and things like that, speakers or whatever, that's why you can keep your tenants longer and they're happy to pay that price. What are you doing for that kind of scenario for your tenants?
So we've really tapped into modern convenience is really the phrase that I'm coining everything as, which is bright modern convenience is what we're really offering. So in terms of that, one of the steps that we took to bake some value in is that we went out and we did a bulk buy in terms of internet and cable for all of our buildings. And then we took the next step and we equipped them all with a brand new TV and mounted it into the units themselves. So what's the benefit for the tenant on that particular one? And I walk them through it when I'm showing them a unit. It's on when they come in. I've got the remote in hand. It's got that little button where you can, call it out, NHL network, and bang, it pops up, right? So if it's a dude and I think that he's a sports guy, he's going to get that. If it's a handyman, I'm going to throw on HGTV. If it was my wife walking in, I'd probably throw on the baking network or something like that, right? But whoever I think they're into, I'm going to ask for that one. But it shows a couple of things. It shows a kind of an advanced level of managing your building. So it's not just basic, you've got some tech in there. The benefits of this one is that it's all included in your rent. There's no more cable guy calls, so you don't have to sit and wait for a half day. You're not paying an installation and a hookup fee, and you don't have to share your space with anyone. It's ready to go. So when you come into our units, you walk in, everything's powered up, you got your Wi-Fi password, and you're ready to go. It's reverb from Ray's mic. Sorry about that one. I hope I'm not getting too much feedback there.
It's not too bad. It's just a tiny little scratch. It's not that bad.
Sorry about that. Apologies. So that'd be one of the aspects that we're doing. The other thing that I'm doing is we've installed, security cameras all around the building. And I think it's important for tenants to understand that you want to know that it's a safe building. You want to know that it's a clean, safe, modern, convenient building for everyone, but it gives them peace of mind. And I pointed out as I take them around through the building, we've installed it here, we've installed it here. It gives us eyes, it gives us coverage. And they're like, oh, fantastic. And I'd say the third techie thing that we've done to our building is found it online, ordered it, had it installed, worked out great. It's a large touchscreen intercom system that goes right at the door, and it just sets the tone. It's got the fob access, which is really nice and easy for the tenants. So I showed them that. I launched the app on my phone. I'm like, so here's what happens, guys. When someone calls you, it comes up on your phone, two-way conversation, you swipe, allow the pizza guy in, that sort of thing. And almost from that right away, it's a difference that no one else in the Aurelia marketplace has. So it's setting the tone, and now they're coming into the building and everything is just kind of going like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. Convenient, modern, clean, safe. And I'm just re-emphasizing that as I'm going through it. And I think that's what's really resonating with that younger audience, because I'm even saying things like, who wants to fumble with a hard key when you're at the front door, beep, and you're in the front, and they love it. So
the super millennial thing, and I'm just resonating with all of it. So so I'm the same way. When I rent a place, I want modern, I want clean, I want technology, and a few great things there for people to think about. Of, you probably get a little bit more rent, including those things in there like televisions and shot cable and internet and stuff. But what a selling feature to have people stay. If they go look at other places, they're going to look at the bill going, you mean I got to go hook up my cable and internet, and I don't get video conference, and I have to go buy my own TV, and I have to do this, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I'm happy to stay here. And that's something that we don't talk a lot about in this industry. We talk about how much rent, but we don't talk about how long the tenant stays and your tenant turnovers. And something Steve and I have found now is like, virtually my business is hands off on my rental portfolio because all my tenants want to stay long term. They're all happy. I don't have to do much turnover now. Our places are fully renovated top to bottom as soon as we buy them. That's how we do all of our places. So now our property management side of it's actually becoming, virtually hands off, other than dealing with miscellaneous stuff and, one turnover every, maybe 6 months. It actually isn't that painful back compared to when we were trying to do the $10,000 just clean up, and then every 2 weeks you're getting a phone call to go back in, and your tenant profile is not as nice and things like that. So what quality of finishings are you putting into your suites now? And just walk us through a brief renovation of what it might look like for from a tenant standpoint, of what they might see physically when they walk in.
For sure, yeah. So I'd say for this particular market, the one thing that we didn't put in place was a stone or a granite countertop. That was the only area where I was like, okay, we went with laminate. And maybe I'm just being a little snobbish here, right? But I prefer stone over laminate and all that kind of stuff, right? So don't label me, I guess, whatever. I grew up on laminate, everyone. I really did. But I graduated to stone. So the type of finishings that we're doing, right? So I like clean and classic all the way throughout, right? So in our bathrooms, for example, everything was a gut. Take it right back to the cinder block and redo the unit. So luxury vinyl plank flooring all the way throughout, 5mm, high durability, low scratch. Everyone likes that. Looks really good. New paint, baseboard trim all throughout, your slimline, low profile LED lighting with the dimmer switches. Again, small item, but people love to be able to dim that lighting and just make it a little more mood experience in there. It's a little thing, but they all seem to add up. Soft close hinge on everything, right? So you don't hear cabinets banging, and the deeper drawers, even the hidden drawers where you can get kind of, you pull out for the cutlery, and then it's got all the extra stuff below. Again, my wife would be a lot more expertise in this kind of thing. Those little touches, right? Modern cabinetry handles and pulls, your stainless steel appliance packages, any little bells and whistles that you can point out on those particular ones. I also like to talk efficiency for them though too, with regards to energy efficient, water flow efficient, so that they know for these particular tenants, the hydro will be their own responsibility, so that they want to be able to have a low hydro bill and the building is really effective. So those would be some of the finishings that we've focused on overall. I mean, soaker tubs, right? Brand new efficient toilets and or low flow toilets, and floating vanities seem to be another thing as well. People like that idea of a floating vanity.
Modern look. That's awesome. Yeah. And those are some big things. Do you guys do stainless appliances on everything?
We do European style fridges, so you'll get a little taller, skinnier kind of thing. Fits well in the apartments. So that works out just fine. Your classic cooktop stove. So it's, I don't know, induction style. Yeah. I guess that's what it is, right? Again, Joe takes care of some of those items. So you're catching me out of my element here, Randy. And then, your microwaves, they've got, the fan and all that kind of stuff. So that's typically the package. For our Kingston building, we're actually looking at adding a couple of extra features in there. So that's just a boutique sixplex, and we're really going to kind of hone in on that boutique idea, but we're going to be dropping in stack washer dryers in each one of the units, and we'll be adding a dishwasher in. So they'll have a really nice appliance package.
That's awesome. Yeah, we found exactly the same thing with us. We try and put a dishwasher in all of our units, even if it's a mini. People love it. I never really use them too much, just being one or two people in the suites, but a lot of people love them. I love what you said about dimmers. That is something that I've come to find. Everyone walks in the door, and if the first thing they do is they turn that dimmer down, they go, "Ooh, that's nice," compared to just a bright light. And it's things like that that make tenants realize that it's not just a rental, right? So many people just walk in, they think just a switch and a boob light and that's it. I'll call it a surface mount light, but we call them boob lights in the industry a bit. So, but it really separates the industry a little bit when you're able to change the light fixtures a little bit, add a dimmer in, and give them a little bit more, I don't know, control over their units. Absolutely love that.
That's exactly one of the right. So let me just jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another really simple feature for everyone is your wall plugs with your USB port. Right. It's such a simple thing to be able to get. But again, you're appealing to that younger, more modern tenant that wants, hey, I'm going to be plugging in all the time and get that sort of thing. Again, super simple stuff, but when they all add up, it makes the big difference.
I don't even know if that's the younger modern tenants. My parents were on here at one point.
Was
They
that
call me
me?
all the time to get me. They get me to come put in my USB plugger things into one of their kitchens. Every house they have, they're like, "You got to come install that USB plug-in for us. We have everything plugged into it." So a lot of people really appreciate those because they're very convenient and easy to do. And for those that don't know, it's just a normal plug with just some USB plugs in the middle or on the top, and it just looks classy. It looks clean, and it just has a different appeal to it that people come in and they just feel very nice with it. The last thing I wanted to quickly check in with you on, I know it's getting late out east for you. So what's the tenanting looking like when you go through that process? So what do your ads look like? What are some key points that you're putting in there that draws some attention to them? What's a little bit of your process to vet and check and find out who's going to be the right tenant for you?
So I've been using 3 sources for ads. I'm using viewit.ca. That's pretty well known here in Ontario. I'm using the Facebook Marketplace, and I'm also using Kijiji. Those are my 3 places that have been dropping my ads. Overall, I find that I get my biggest response from Facebook, but it's usually just that pre-programmed, "Is this available?" And they're just hitting the button kind of thing. You know, each one of these platforms has kind of got the call outs that they want you to highlight: square footage, parking, non-smoking, smoking, pets, you know, appliances, all that sort of stuff, air conditioning. So those are the kind of call outs itself. In terms of the ad, I think my first one, I really tried to use a lot of flowery language in terms of painting the picture. So imagine yourself waking up on a beautiful Sunday morning and wandering downtown to get a fresh baguette. And I realize that no one cares. So I shouldn't say no one. Again, I'm generalizing right here, but people, especially in this particular market, it's about price, value, and what am I getting and when is it available? So the less that I skip the flowery stuff and just, again, really emphasize or focused on the idea of their time is super valuable. So just give them the information that they need in a very straightforward fashion. So what I do is I run my ads on those 3 platforms. They typically message me. I set up an email account for each one of my buildings, and it's got the vacation or the auto response on. You drop me an email saying, "Hey, we just chatted on Facebook. I'm really interested." Bang, you get an autoresponder back right away, and it's got all the information you need. Frequently asked questions. What are the next steps? How do I book a viewing? Google Drive, take a look at the pictures, the videos, everything, because I don't want to answer the questions, and I'll be straightforward with it. I don't want to go back for 5, 10, 15 minutes and have a long call, even a short call, and answer a number of these questions. I want the tenant that's going to take the initiative and look through this stuff themselves and then say, "Hey, great, I booked the showing. I'll see you next Tuesday night." And then we can get into all the questions. So that's kind of how I do that. My application process, I've been using a service. It's an online service. It's backed by the credit bureau. It's called Single Key. And it's a really, really simple process to be able to use. It does a pre-screen for everyone, which is easy for me. And then once I like them and I show them the unit, I can simply just send them the application, and it does all the work for me, gives me the score, gives me everything that I need on the back end. I take a look and I approve it. It even pre-populates the lease and allows me to upload that to DocuSign.
Wow, easy. Looks really good. I loved everything you just said. I'm just going to share my screen here quickly. This is an ad that I just put up the other day. I used to fluff it all up. Now this is it. When showings are, or when it's available, when showings are, please just tell me about yourself. This is what the utilities are included, what's renovated, and here's your key features: appliances, granite, this, and that's it. There's no verbiage or anything. It's literally just, here's the price, here's the stats, here's the feature, get it done. And we've had a way better response, way better response.
Yeah, I think so too, right? Because there's so many different eyes that are looking at it. But at the end of the day, we're so information loaded. I think people are just that much quicker to pick out what they want when it's just presented in a clean and easy way to be able to look at it. Great. Does that fit my needs? Awesome. I want to put an application in there and see what happens.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing all those processes for us. I'm going to throw this up quickly so people can reach out to you on your website. I was also going to say I didn't throw your personal information up there because sometimes I know it's not always the best thing to do. But if you feel comfortable, share your email in the chat or anything like that that you want people to reach out with you to. And for everyone, I hope you really enjoyed Ray coming in and sharing his story and where he got to. He is a very open man. If you want to chat with him, if you want to hear his story, he loves sharing. He loves inspiring other people to do the same things they did and get out there, and just such a giving human. And we're so grateful to have Ray in our lives, and just always boosting up our enthusiasm and keeping us going. So as you guys know, we can't clap, but we do some happy hands here. So if you can turn your screen on here to a little bit of that, give you some happy hands and say thanks so much, Ray. We really appreciate you coming out, man. Really awesome to have you here, and we look forward to continue growing with you over the next few years.
Awesome, Randy. Thank you so much. Steve, thank you so much. And thank you for everyone that stayed on and listened.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And anyone, if you didn't catch his email, it's just info@bvco.ca. So info@bvco.ca. Cool. Well, thanks, Ray. Appreciate you again. That's awesome. Cheers, buddy. And now we have our next presentation, which is one I'm very, 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 very excited for. So many of you are landlords in here, just starting out. And one of the things that we found in our journey of trying to find the right property management software was everything was grossly expensive. It was built like Yardley for, having 200, 300, 400 rental properties or a property manager. It wasn't user friendly. It was archaic. It wasn't fun, and just a lot of it was just grossly overpriced. And we stumbled across Pendo about 4 years ago, I think, when we were at a UDI meeting, when their then co-founder was just presenting about technology in real estate. And I was like, I like that. I want a technology company that's going to come in and make it easier and more slimline and just easier to use in general. We signed up for them and have been using them ever since. And haven't shared too much out because it just hasn't come up in conversation too much, but tonight's the first time we're actually having them come present for us. And so I'm very excited to have Jodelene from Pendo here. She's the Director of Operations. She's going to run us through a full product demo of why this software is so incredible. And I'm telling you guys, I've looked at a lot of software, and this has been one of the best that I've found for everything from management to sending leases to collecting rent to tracking everything. I am not super tech savvy, and I am very simplistic, and it has been one of the best things that we've implemented and been one of the greatest processes. So I would like to welcome Jodelene to the call and take it over. You are in charge.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, Randy. Again, my name is Jodelene, and I am the Director of Operations of Pendo. Pendo is actually owned by a Vancouver company called Tribe Property Solutions. They also own Tribe Management, was a property management company. And we also have software for residential developers tracking their deficiencies. So this was actually a company that we acquired about 2.5 years ago from a company called Rennie, and that's where Randy would have met them. They're a real estate marketing firm in Vancouver. They wanted to get out of the rental management business, and we wanted to expand our technology that we offer for our own property management division. Pendo was originally created, I believe, in about 2012 for indie landlords. So landlords with up to 5 units. They started off pretty basic with features, but over the past 2.5 years, and especially with a focus on property management, we discovered that there's a niche need for a Canadian rental property management system. And so we've been really building it out to offer those features for that demographic. So I think Randy's going to help me with this demo because this is a very comprehensive product and it could take probably an hour to go through everything. So we'll go over the main features. So Randy, feel free to interject if I get sidetracked on going through. I do a couple of these a day, and like I said, they're fairly detailed, but we want to give you an overview of the features that it offers, the price points, and I'll just start off there because I'm sure, as you mentioned, it's super cheap. You're wondering, how much does it cost? So we have 4 different price plans. The lowest is the basic plan, and it's only $10 a month. and that covers you up to 5 units. If you need a little bit more features, it bumps up to $30 a month. And that's what I call medium range. So a smaller property manager or
sorry to cut you off, Jodelene. Are you able to share your screen with that?
I'm sorry. I usually have that set up to begin with. I'm doing this backwards. Here, give me 2 seconds here. There we go. You see my screen now?
There we go. Yep, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, here we go. So basic is our plan for 1 to 5 units. It's $10 a month. And then we have plus if you need some more features. There's a discount. If you're a landlord BC member, there's a 10% discount. Or if you switch to an annual plan, it goes down another 10%. And then if you have more units and you're more on the property management size, then we have 2 packages that are full featured. Under 100 units is $60 a month. And over 100 units is $100 plus 50 cents per unit thereafter. So we kept it very, very affordable, as we recognize a lot of people are just starting out. So I'm going to go back to the main.
Are you able to, oh, that should be okay. I was just gonna say, if you're able to zoom in just a tiny bit, I don't know if you can on your web browser, but.
There we go. How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
Okay, so this is our properties dashboard. It's our landing page. There's 2 different views depending on how many properties you have. This is the grid view, and we've got a list view, which has tons of different stats. Let's switch back. I'm gonna go to an apartment complex, and this is going to give you all of your details about your applicants, lease stats, how many units you have in the building, how many tenants. Everything is clickable and goes to different portions of Pendo. Pando Pay is our rental collection system that we offer. It's a pay-per-use type system. We offer a flat rate of $1 per transaction. Most of our competitors have percentage base. We feel that's too greedy. And so we've just done a flat fee, and you can collect anything from damage deposits, rental payments, late fees, and we also issue damage deposits via Pando Pay as well. It's bank-to-bank transfer. We use Bank of Montreal as our payment processor, and it takes up to 3 business days from the funds to be collected from your tenant's account right into your bank account. Or if you're a property management company that's managing on behalf of others, we have the ability to divert the management fee from the owner's payout.
It's one of my favorite features. I'm going to pause there. One sec. In the chat, guys, there's a brochure that Jodelene gave us that you can just browse through and just see some of the features that come with Pendo. Very cool. This Pendo Pay has been an absolute game changer. I hate collecting e-transfers. I hate collecting checks. I hate cash. And this just made it so freaking easy. My tenants signed up very easily. I put my bank account in, and it just auto transfers in every month. Nobody has to worry about anything, and was one of the biggest game changers for me because now it just eliminated a lot of my time and tracking, and it automatically deposits. I take their deposits in that way. I return their deposits that way. I don't have to interact with any money transfer through my tenants. It's all done through Pendo, and it tracks it all for my accounting, for my returns. There's no miscommunication of like, oh, but I paid you more in damage deposit and I paid you this here. It's like, no, it's all on Pendo. It's all tracked right here, right now. Probably one of the coolest features, and it's included in every plan. So I'm selling pretty hard here, but I just love the product and I've done a lot of research into it to find one that works good for us. But they include it in their plan. So even if you only have 1 property or 2 properties, you can still get that included in your plan, which a lot of places don't offer. If you only have 1 or 2 properties, usually you have a lot more you have to pay for to get into that space where they do the automatic transfer.
Thanks, Randy. So we also offer a few different trackers. Now, I will mention that I didn't mention in the beginning is that Pendo is a landlord platform. We don't offer direct access to our tenants. We didn't feel like there was a need. Any communications that we do to tenants is via outbound notifications via email. And then we have a tracking system for issue submissions. So if somebody has a leaky toilet, they can do that right through a website that's on with the Pendo. And I've got some of these screens up here to show you because of the way the system works, it would take too long. So this is what a tenant would go through. They're going to get a unique ID that they're given through an automatic email. They put in their ID and they go through all the steps. They can put in a subject, a description, upload pictures, and then that goes right to you via email, and it'll get tracked right into Pendo. And then all of your issues will be shown on a page, and you can handle them that way, update them, and let the tenant know when they're resolved. The other trackers that we have, if you're managing a full building, we have a maintenance and servicing tracker. So it'll show you when the carpets are due to be cleaned or maintenance in the yard. And then the third is your annual unit inspection, which you want to be doing, making sure that there's no grow ops or anything bad going on in your units, and you can track it that way as well. The other things that we offer are screening insurance. Our screening is done through a company called Certain, based in Victoria. And it's $8.99 for a soft check, or $19 for both, and you get the results instantly. The other offering that we have is through Square One Insurance. So this is basically a reminder. It's very, very friendly. You pick which tenant you want to send the reminder to, and they just get a nice email with these same things, the stats. Did you know that you need contents insurance? And then they can go get a quote if they'd like. We also offer
how many people, one sec, Jodelene, how many people do we know that hate asking their tenants to get tenant insurance and don't even know where they can go get it, and get asked all the time, where do I get tenant insurance? Tell me to get it, but where do I get it? Blah, blah, blah. And to have it in a one-click stop has been so great as well.
Yeah, and you can do bulk emails. We haven't announced this yet, but we just signed on with another insurance company across Canada. Square One is limited in some of the provinces. And the one thing that Square One doesn't have that this company will is tracking. So one of your tenants gets a policy, it's actually going to show up in Pendo. And if they cancel their policy, because we know people are sneaky, it will actually alert you as well. So some tenants say, yeah, I got it, here's my policy, and then call the provider a month later and cancel it. So we'll be able to track that right. Yeah, isn't that great? We also offer a rental listing service through Pendo. It's not syndicated. This is just a way for a landlord of a couple of units not to spend the big bucks with these advertising websites. And basically what it does is it takes all the information that you've already inputted into Pendo, and it creates a little ad for you. So here we've got the price for multiple units. It's got all of the information, amenities, neighborhood information, and then Pendo applicants can actually fill out a form. They can even fill out an application, and all of that data goes into Pendo under people as a lead. The benefits of that is no more tracking spreadsheets, writing people's names down as they've applied. It tracks it for you right from the get-go. There's some financial information if you want to put in your mortgage and see how all those expenses are doing. And then at the bottom of this feed, we have an activity feed. So it's just the ongoing, you're going to have multiple users. You want to basically capture any information that's being changed in the system. Going back through the properties, we have pages for everything. There's a page for lease. It's got filters. You can export data. We've got one for units by property or all, and then it's got all the specific information. We have an applications page. So all your current vacancies and your future vacancies, you can see how many people have applied, how many people have clicked on the rental listing that I just showed you earlier. There's a summary of all of your issues through the issue tracker. And then rent increase. I know a lot of landlords were sad when BC froze the notifications, but once we can make the system run again, it's automated. So you tell the system when to notify your tenant. Now that's legal in BC. The system will do it for you and remind you when that new rent payment's coming in. If you're like Randy and you've set up Pando Pay, it will automatically update the rent. So we've automated everything.
Another great feature for, again, it just hit every pain point that I have, you know, trying to get rent increases to tenants, and not only that, but, you know, having to deliver them in person and do all this stuff and talk to them. This is so easy because it's all on the platform. You just nothing changes. They don't have to go in and change how much they transfer. They don't have to change anything. It's all done inside Pendo, and it just makes it virtually so easy.
You. So we have two different types of accounts. I mentioned earlier that we had a landlord BC partnership. So if you are a member, you get the discount and you also get access to the proprietary forms. We have their rental application, their lease agreement, and a pet agreement. They're quite comprehensive. For those that aren't in BC or are not a member, there's just a standard agreement that is across all provinces. So it's got basic language, with the exception of like a province like Ontario, because they have a standard lease. Unfortunately, it can't be digitized. The process for setting an application, you're just filling in all of the blanks, and then an email goes to your tenant that looks like this. And let's just see if I can make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Nice and colorful email. Complete your rental application. It's got a little message there of where they're renting, your signature, and if you've got one of the higher plans, you can even put a company logo. And they fill out the information on their device, so their cell phone, their tablet, or their computer. This is not a PDF form where you have to teach people to use it. They're answering it right on their device. They fill out all the information and they sign with their finger. They submit it. You, as the landlord or the property management company, gets a notification via email, and it also shows up in Pendo that an application has come through. Same process for the lease. We also have the ability to add an addendum, send a pet agreement. We have some tenant notices. So if I click here, we've built in the RTB, obviously BC forms. There's 4 in there, so you can automatically send those via email. That's pretty much it. Randy, I don't know if you noticed this. I haven't announced it yet, but we now have document storage. It's very exciting.
One of the problems that we've had is that if we have a document with our tenants, we still have to store it in our Google Drive on each property. Now we store it all on Pendo. Jodelene mentioned this to us yesterday or 2 days ago when we were chatting, and I went and looked at it, and it's just so easy now, because now anything I need to store for my units, I can put in. I can put invoices in there. I can put everything in there. That's super easy. Any document can go in there. One of the questions that came across, Jodelene, is just around imports. So what does it look like if you already have leases and things like that? What does the importing process look like from somewhere else into here?
Absolutely. So if you have a bigger portfolio, we do have an import service where we provide you with a spreadsheet and you fill out all of the information, and we'll upload that for you. It's a cost of $25, or if you're on the higher plan, then that's waived. As far as any documents, you can easily do that through the interface and upload those. Same thing with the lease. So we make it fairly easy to get on board.
That's awesome. And one of the other questions that came in was just around bookkeeping. You can export, correct, to QuickBooks or other services?
Yeah, QuickBooks, Xero, and a CSV. I'll talk about that in just a few minutes as we kind of go through each of the tabs, but there is an export feature for income expenses. Awesome. So I'm over on our people page. So we have a bunch of different role types. So leads, as I mentioned, can automatically come through if you choose to use the rental listing service. If not, adding a person is suppose clicking a button and just filling out all the information. Otherwise, leads come in. If you send an application, they become applicants. Once they've signed an agreement, they become tenants, and then they are assigned a tenant card. You can throw a picture there if you want. It's got all their contact information, whether or not they're on Pendo Pay, the details of their lease. If they're on Pendo Pay, it'll show the next statement, and it'll give you a lease snapshot. So it's up to you on how much of Pendo you want to use. If you want to use the digital application, you can do that. If you already have an existing tenant, you can just click upload a document, and it'll attach their lease to this lease summary. As you can see, it's all got the pertinent information when they moved in. And then again, when we get this feature back, you can click rent increase on, and it'll ask all the details of changing over their rent amount by the date you've specified. And there is an activity feed at the bottom to monitor all that information for that specific person. There's quick buttons up at the top. So if Andrew's filled out a rental application, I want to take a quick peek, I can do that just by clicking it. I can also, looks like he hasn't been accepted quite yet, so I can reject him. It'll send a custom message to let him know that he wasn't selected, or you can print or delete the application here too. And then anything that's colored is activated. The other thing I wanted to mention is we have a move in, move out inspection app that's on the Apple Store and Google Play that is free. It is going to change your life. No more paper and clipboards. You literally download the app, preferably on an iPad or a tablet, and you walk around and you note all of the issues room to room, and you can take pictures. This is what the condition report looks like when it's done. So it's got the date and the time, who attended. Or if you have a no-show, those are always lovely. There's a checkbox to say that the tenants were a no-show and you're going to do the inspection without them. And as you can see here, it's got all of the conditions of each of the rooms, accompanying pictures. And then there's areas to put the keys that they've returned, any notes, deposits, and you have everybody sign.
One of the coolest things about that I found was on my tenant walkthroughs, so many times you have a scratch in the wall that you don't want to fix, or you don't want to paint, you're like, hey, this is just going to be here. And you have to try and take a picture of it and then document it and then pull it back out. Guys, I literally go into my thing, I go move in inspection, we walk room by room, and if there's something that's wrong, I click take a picture, and I take a picture of it and it stays there. When I do my move out inspection, I open up that same report and I stand at the wall and I look at where I took the picture and go, that damage is the exact same. All good. Is that damage worse? Here it is. It's the most simple thing I've ever used and makes it so easy for the move in, move outs, because you can just document everything right there on the app with no argument. The tenant literally can't argue.
Awesome. This is one of the things that I actually created. I became a landlord in late last year, is a built-in welcome letter. So aside from the lease, there's a lot of information we need to share with our new tenants. So we've built out a template to help people along, but it's fully editable. You can remove it and create your own, but it basically gives them all the information they need to know about their new suite. You can schedule that, or you can send immediately. That
is a new feature I haven't even found yet, and that is so cool.
Isn't it? Yeah. Well, I started typing it out and I'm like, why don't I just build this? Pendo has a small dev team. This is one of the benefits of going with a BC-based company. We're very reactive. We talk to our customers quite a bit. We get feedback. You go with a bigger company, it comes with a bigger price tag. You need something changed or you don't like the way something works, good luck. They've got a roadmap 3 years out. I'm very responsive. I talk to my team every week and we prioritize based on the needs of our customers. So like I said, see something that you don't like, it could be fixed as quick as 2 weeks. We're really trying to make this work for everybody.
A few quick questions to stop you before you hop on to the next thing. Somebody just said, I thought email wasn't as acceptable. I thought everything had to be, notices had to be served in person. And I know that just changed, you shared with me, I think.
It did. So it did change for the province of BC. I'm not familiar with the other provinces, but BC, it is now illegal as a first notice by email. There is another form, I believe it's the RTB 51 that was just released, which is basically having the tenants give consent and providing an email and stating if their emails to change that they're to notify you. We're going to build that into Pendo very soon, but it is legal now to notify. For our other customers that are in other provinces, it's a secondary backup. You can leave a notice on their door, but it's also a good record to have and the system will track it. So if there's a dispute, you have a computerized system stating that that notice was sent on that specific day.
Beautiful. And then the other question that came in was just around customer service. And I know you guys have a great customer service thing that you're very proud of. So I'll just let you share about that quickly as well.
Yeah, so the main way to contact us is this little smiley face in the right-hand side. It's through a company called Intercom and it is live chat. Because we're a tech company, we have this app on our phone. So don't be surprised if you'll get a response after business hours or on the weekend. And we boast that we've got almost a 5-minute response time, which is unheard of. So we're always on the ball. So there's help 2 seconds away. And we also have a knowledge base that's built out. If you click the help here, it has everything that you need to know about Pendo in the case where you need an answer to a specific question and people aren't around. Oh, there goes my bandwidth. So all of the information is here and it's all searchable. So we are now on the payments page. Just going to drop that down. So this is where you're tracking your income, expenses, and your deposits. It tracks everything here. And this is the export that Randy was talking about earlier. So you can export that to CSV, QuickBooks, and Xero. You can change the date range and it tracks everything, all of your properties. You can do a rent roll, by tenant, all the different categories that you're tracking, whether or not it's paid, and which account. So what we just recently added is the ability to associate payments or income to a specific bank account. So that shows up on that page. And then, as Randy's a big user of Pando Pay, this is the overall status of how many tenants you have, how many payments are going through. Failed payments do happen, unfortunately, and you get notified as soon as we get notified from the bank that the payment wasn't able to go through. There's a $20 charge, which unfortunately to go to the landlord because we weren't able to collect money from the tenant. And then you can use the Pendo Pay system to collect that fee as well. And adding a payment once the tenant is set up is as easy as just clicking on the buttons and away it goes. You can do a one-time or a reoccurring. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're a property management company managing on behalf of others, you can also set it up so that the owner gets paid and you get to keep your management fee. And it has all of the details of all of the payments. So that system works quite well. 3 business days from start to finish, with the exception of stats and weekends, because we do go through the Bank of Montreal. We have to adhere to their processing timelines. I'll just pause there for a second. Is there any question about the payments or the dashboard here?
The question came in, is the bank info linked directly to the bank or just for reference?
So when you as a landlord set up the account, we set up what's called a payout account. So you're actually going to provide us with a copy of a void check or direct deposit. And the same thing for your tenants or even your owner. And what we do is we take that information and it's securely encrypted to send to the bank. And that's how the bank pulls the money from the account and puts it into yours.
Very seamless process.
Absolutely. Next is our performance dashboard. So you're just getting some stats on how many properties you have leased, how many tenants are in the system, how long they've been around. For payment reconciliation, if you use the Pando Pay system, we automatically reconcile for you because we know you've received the money. Whereas if you're collecting checks old school, you will have to reconcile that information. But again, we've made it easy. You can report payments with the click of a button, or you can scroll down to the bottom and record all payments and then undo the payments where you know they haven't paid. So it's very, very easy to track. And then finally, we have a financial statement, all properties or one, with date ranges. You can export that as well. And it just kind of gives you a snapshot of how all your properties are performing.
So cool. The one thing I did want to say is if you could go to the information for like a new property where you can just put in the different mortgage information and stuff like that. Once the lease has, I think.
See, for a property or a unit?
Yeah, right there. So yeah, so you can put in all your mortgage information for what you got going on. It's so robust. You can put in your property management fees. I don't know if there's much more to share on that, Jodelene, but I just love this feature and how easy it is to just click everything that's usable. And then this is what actually exports into that website. So that you use for your rental. So all the information you put into this, boom, transfers over to the website and it's done. So I do this for one property once, and then it can re-rent it out 100 times. It don't have to recreate new ads or anything like that.
Absolutely. And one of the things I wanted to mention on Pendo Pay, and Randy, I don't know if you're aware of this, we've also added 2 new features. You can default the Pendo Pay fees into a separate account, and you can also set up a deposit account. So because your deposits are trust, so if you want to create just a trust account for your deposits, you can now do that through Pendo Pay.
And I think you can have, was it 1 bank account for the basic account and 5 accounts for the next one, and then it goes up after that?
Yeah, we've actually amended that. So the basic plan will have 3 to start. The plus will have 5, and then it goes unlimited. We're being too stingy on the basic plan apparently, so we made a change.
And as a lot of us investors know, that's so important because we all have different bank accounts for each different property. So if you're anywhere up to 5 different bank accounts, it's very easy to use. After 5, you do have to do some adjusting or upgrade your plan. But a lot of the times for the first 5 bank accounts, for me, I just take it with the Pendo Pay is what it's for. I still use it for all my other leasings, but I have 5 of my separate rental properties that have the most rents coming in and the most things, the most units. And then if I just have like a 1 unit or 2 unit, I just take care of that one myself.
One of the things I haven't covered yet is users. So if you have a team, you can give the ability for other people to join in the Pendo account, and you can give them viewer edit status and associate them to a specific property. So if you have a higher plan, you can do that as well. And that's what the activity feeds are. You can track who's doing what in the system. In case somebody accidentally deletes a payment, you can actually know who did it.
Very cool. A question just came in privately to me. Someone's just asking if they already use QuickBooks for all their tracking of income and expenses and that kind of stuff, is it easy for them to sync back up or overlap, or have you had any issues with that, or can you speak to that at all?
I haven't had any issues. We do have some customers that prefer to manage all of the transactions in another accounting system. Pendo's we're looking at integrations with other accounting systems, but there's so many out there. So we've kept it quite simple for the indie landlords. Like I mentioned before, you can use as much or as little Pendo as you'd like. But if you choose to use Pendo for that tracking, then you would be doubly entering because, like I said, we don't have a direct integration at this time. So it's just by choice of what you want to manage.
Yeah, so you'd fill all your information either out on this one or on QuickBooks. If you do it on Pendo, you can export it into QuickBooks and update it that way. Tenant, somebody asked will be showing the tenant interface, but I don't believe there is a tenant interface.
No, as I mentioned earlier, it is a landlord platform. So anytime a tenant is involved, whether they're receiving a notice, it will be via email, with the exception of our issue tracker, which I showed earlier. And that's the only interaction that the tenants have directly with the website. Otherwise, they're just going through the emails and filling out all the information.
And I think if I remember, I can send emails from here through Gmail, I believe, correct?
Not like through Pendo, we don't have email things. Yeah, right now we have automated emails. We have rent reminders. So those are all in the back end of the system going. We don't have a messaging system quite yet. We're looking at implementing that in the future. This here is a copy of our sample credit report. So if you did want to purchase one through Certain and for Equifax, it's kind of what it looks like. They have their own score for each of the individuals, as well as the credit report. So that comes in within minutes. So it gives you a quick idea of whether somebody's worthy of renting.
Very cool.
Good question.
Yeah.
Any idea, like, I don't know if you have like back-end stats or anything like that, but any idea how many, I guess, landlords are in your database that actually use credit checks?
I would say it's probably 40%. Some use other systems. I know Landlord BC uses a different system themselves. So it really depends. It's kind of all over the map. The credit report does work North American. So as long as the tenants were in Canada or the US, it will work. But if they're from another country, then their credit won't pull up. So sometimes that's the reason why people don't bother to run one.
Beautiful. Is there any other features you're wanting to show us? There's no other. It's just for future consideration to track. Oh, Edison just said a suggestion would be to track your kilometers on there. I don't know if that's a function inside the expense sheet or not, but as landlords, we're always looking for the most write-offs we can get to help offset some of the costs. And being able to track your kilometers, I think, would be fantastic, especially for myself. I just have a notes on it and use a different app. But if I could actually put in per unit, like, hey, I went here, X amount of kilometers for this unit or this property, that would be a very cool feature.
That is a cool feature. I'll look into putting in that. But Randy, for right now, what you can do is go to your unit, go under the activity feed, and you can click plus and you can create your own note.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And any of the automated activity feeds, you can also make a note. So, if you gave somebody a notice of rental increase and they told you to go away, you can make a note that they responded. One of the other features that I'm unfortunately not able to demo just because I don't have it quite set up yet is an applicant comparison report. So this was something that I struggled with when I was looking at the many candidates here in Victoria. So I've created a report that will allow you to compare their income, their credit score, all the pertinent information, and make the best decision you can based on who's applied.
I just got a private message that just says Pendo is way ahead of what a lot of property management companies in town are using. So
yeah, that's great.
Big comment there. And I don't want to say I was onto this way before that, but 4 years ago when we saw the opportunity, and this is why Steve and I are so excited to marry technology and real estate. There's so many, having a tech company build me a property management software with my input is the best thing I could ever do. It's so cool, and I'm very excited about it. And that's really why I was excited to bring Jodelene in. I'll let you finish off your presentation, this one here, and not keep talking over you. But I just get so excited about the opportunity of tech and real estate.
And there's so much that we haven't nailed yet. Like I said, I've been running this for 2.5 years, and there's still more features. That was the other thing too. We do releases every 2 weeks, so bug fixes and new features. So it's constantly changing and evolving. And again, that feedback is really, really important to us. This screen here is my knowledge base. And so basically this is the comparison tool that I was telling you about. So you can see here, they've got 14 applicants, and only the applicants that have completed their application will show up, that you select them. And then there's a comparison report here. So I'm gonna compare the income, how many years they've been at their current home, their job, how many occupants, whether or not they have pets. And then you can go through and pick the right person. So little things like that make a huge difference to a landlord, especially how busy we are.
That is crazy. That is a very cool feature. That's something that we struggle with a lot, is just just tracking it all, right? You get all these applications coming in and everything, and being able to go like, hey, I only want the pet friendlies, and I only want this, and I only want that, is very nice to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's an example. Like that was just my personal use of the product. Like I said, I'm a landlord and I work for a property management company. So these ideas are flying. My poor development team every day. I have a new idea. I think that's the basis. If anybody's interested, I know Randy will provide my contact details, but I'm happy to do a complimentary 30-minute demo or go over the features maybe they have more questions on, or anything that I didn't cover. I will also mention that we do have a 30-day free trial. You don't need your credit card. You can go in, play around, use it, or just take a look. And if it's just something you decide that you want to sign up for, you can do that as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Jodelene. That's a fantastic presentation. And if you want to stop sharing your screen if you're done.
Yes, I'm just going to open this up. Let's see. Oh, I think I have to go in here. There we go. Stop share. Takes a while with the many screens. There we go. Thank you so much.
There's a Zoom. So, well, thank you so much, Jodelene. That's, again, we've loved Pendo so much. I use about a third of what I could use on the platform, and I'm getting more and more robust into it. And absolutely think it's one of the coolest things because, like you said, it's for indie landlords. Everything that we saw was built and designed for so much more stuff. And we just wanted a nice, simple, user-friendly 1 to 10 property type stuff for landlords, and it's been a game changer for us, and we're excited to share it with our community and be able to get that out to everyone. So if you do have any questions, reach out to Jodelene. I'll be sending her email out hopefully, or the email she gives me with to send out to everyone for checking in. But if not, just go to Pen.do and check out, like that, Pen.do. And check it out, play around with it, download it, have some fun with it. It's a fantastic program. We absolutely love it and just can't speak highly enough about it. And can't speak highly enough about Jodelene. She's been amazing, answers all my questions, always there to support. Their team's been fantastic. So thank you again. We really appreciate you and your entire team at Pendo.
Thank you so much, Randy and all.
Awesome. You have a great night, and we appreciate it. We'll see you later.
Sounds great. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for sticking around.
Fantastic. Wow. Do this. Boom. What a, oh, she's going to be slow. What an awesome presentation tonight from two absolute incredible presenters, very entertaining, and also some awesome stories in there. We're very grateful for it. If you haven't already done so, hop into our REINVESTORS community. Just go to Google, type in the REINVESTORS community. We're at 1,200 members now. I haven't updated this slide. We're over 1,200 members inside the REINVESTORS community. You'll get sent an email out with a bunch of our reviews. Give us a review. We love hearing about your sessions. We love the honest feedback and what we can do for you. Our next meetup is June 15th. So put it in your calendar, 6 p.m. You'll get 100 emails from us reminding you, because we want you to join us so badly. And the one thing I did want to get back to quickly is for those of you that were a part of this, make sure you take a picture, make sure you tag us in some social media, make sure you share it somewhere. It'll get you 5 extra entries into the draw. We'll be giving away for 2 $50 gift cards or a 30-minute strategy session with us. So 1 for attending, 5 if you share on social media in any way, shape, form, or possible. As long as we can get a tag in it, we'll be good. So with that, I will send it off with this closing screen. If you have any information, any questions, you want to reach out to Steve and I, this is where you can do it. And bada bing, bada boom. That is how it goes. And I'll send us off with, there we go. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, give me some happy hands or some love of any way. Show some excitement. Look at all that love. It makes Steve and I happy. We have to do that, especially in our Synergy Mastermind, because we have so many guest speakers. We can't do applauses, so it's just become a new exciting thing for us that when we see that. So if you did want details on any of our new developments that we have going on or things like that, please check us out. You can put it in the chat here, www.thereinvestors.ca/invest. You can check out that website there, www.thereinvestors.ca/invest, to check out some of our programs or some of our product to see if you're interested in investing. And we're more than happy to have conversations with anyone. Feel free to reach out to us, and have a great night, everyone. And we will see you next month. It's June 15th. So it's a shorter time period. So it's a smaller month. So it's on the 15th of June. So look forward to seeing everyone then. Have a great night.